and FortiGuard. In this lesson, you will learn about FortiGuard. You will also learn how to troubleshoot problems that occur when FortiGate is connecting to public FortiGuard services and when FortiManager is acting as a local FortiGuard server. After completing this lesson, you should be able to achieve the objectives shown on this slide. By demonstrating competence in FortiGuard and how FortiGate connects to public FortiGuard servers, you will be able to troubleshoot problems that occur when FortiGate is connecting to public FortiGuard services and when FortiManager is acting as a local FortiGuard server. In this section, you will learn how FortiGate connects to public FortiGuard servers. The FortiGuard Distribution Network, FDN, provides FortiGuard services for your FortiManager system, as well as its managed FortiGate devices and FortiClient agents. It provides updates and rating services for antivirus, intrusion prevention system, IPS, web filtering, anti-spam, application control, vulnerability scanning, IP reputation, web security, database security, geographic IP addresses. FortiGate uses different ports for rating services, such as web filtering and anti-spam, and for update services, such as antivirus and IPS. In the case of rating services and when communicating with public FortiGuard services, FortiGate uses one of these ports: UDP port 8888, UDP port 53, HTTPS port 8888, HTTPS port 53. In the case of rating services and when communicating with a FortiManager configured as a local FortiGuard server, FortiGate uses one of these ports: UDP port 8888, UDP port 53, HTTP port 80, HTTPS port 53. In the case of update services, FortiGate uses HTTPS port 443. By default, FortiGate uses public FortiGuard servers located worldwide. You can configure FortiGate to use public FortiGuard servers located only in the USA. To learn how to troubleshoot FortiGuard problems, you need to understand how FortiGuard communication works. The communication between FortiGate and FortiGuard for web filtering and anti-spam is different from the communication for antivirus and IPS. First, you will look at how FortiGuard web filtering and anti-spam work. 1. FortiGate contacts the DNS server to resolve the FortiGuard service name. 2. FortiGate gets a list of IP addresses for servers, usually 2 or 3, that can be contacted to validate the FortiGuard license. 3. FortiGate contacts one of those servers to check the license and obtains a list of servers that can be used to submit web filtering and anti-spam rating queries. 4. FortiGate gets the list of servers. 5. FortiGate starts sending rating queries to one of the servers in the list. You will learn how FortiGate chooses the server later in this lesson. 6. If the chosen server does not reply in 2 seconds, FortiGate contacts the next server on the list. The FortiGuard service name depends on the FortiGate configuration. Service.fortiguard.net. FortiGate is configured to use UDP and communicate with servers located worldwide. SecureWF.fortiguard.net. FortiGate is configured to use HTTPS and communicate with servers located worldwide. USService.fortiguard.net. FortiGate is configured to use UDP and communicate with servers located only in USA. USSecureWF.fortiguard.net. FortiGate is configured to use HTTPS and communicate with servers located only in the USA. Now you will look at how antivirus and IPS work. How FortiGuard communication works for antivirus and IPS depends on the method used, pull or push. The steps in the pull method are: 1. FortiGate contacts the DNS server to resolve the name update.fortiguard.net. 2. FortiGate gets a list of server IP addresses, usually 2 or 3, that can be contacted. 3. FortiGate periodically connects to one of the servers to check for pending updates. 4. If there is an update, FortiGate downloads the update. The first 2 steps used for the push method are also used for the pull method. FortiGate gets a list of IP addresses from a DNS server for the domain name update.fortiguard.net. After that, FortiGate registers its public IP address in FortiGuard. With this information, FortiGuard starts sending notifications each time there are new updates. FortiGate then proceeds to download the updates. You can check the status of FortiGuard licenses and the communication to FortiGuard on the FortiGate GUI. You can also check the versions of the locally installed databases for each of the FortiGuard services. The command diagnose debug rating shows the list of servers for web filtering and anti-spam queries. For each IP address, the table shows the round-trip delay, the server's time zone, the number of recent and consecutive queries without reply, the historical number of queries without reply. These values reset upon device reboot. This is how FortiGate selects the server to send the rating request to. FortiGate initially uses the delta between the server's time zone and the FortiGate system time zone multiplied by 10. This is the server's initial wait. To lower the possibility of using a remote server, the wait is not allowed to drop below the initial wait. The wait goes up with each packet lost. The wait goes down over time if there are no packets lost. FortiGate uses the server with the lowest wait as the one for the rating queries. If two or more servers have the same wait, FortiGate uses the server with the lowest round-trip delay, RTT. The output of the command diagnose debug rating shows flags beside some of the servers. I equals the server initially contacted to validate the license and get the server list. Usually there is only one server with this flag. D equals the IP address FortiGate got when resolving the name service.fortiguard.net. If the administrator has not overwritten the FortiGuard FQDN or IP address in the FortiGate configuration, there are usually 2 or 3 servers with this flag. S equals the IP address FortiGate got from FortiManager. T equals the server is not replying to FortiGate queries. F equals the server is down. In many cases, problems related to FortiGuard are caused by ISPs. Some ISPs block traffic on port 53 that is not DNS or that contains large packets. In those cases, the solution is to switch FortiGuard traffic from port 53 to port 8888. Other ISPs or upstream firewalls block traffic to port 8888. In those cases, the solution is to use port 53. There are also a few cases where ISPs block traffic based on source ports. Changing the source port range for FortiGuard to the range shown on this slide usually fixes the issue. For antivirus and IPS, communication between FortiGate and FortiGuard happens much less frequently. In the case of web filtering and anti-spam, FortiGate goes to FortiGuard each time it needs to rate a website or email, if the information is not in the FortiGate cache. In the case of the pull method for antivirus and IPS, FortiGate goes to FortiGuard, usually once a day, to check and download any new version of the antivirus or IPS databases and engines. This is done using port TCP 443. This slide shows the commands you use if FortiGate must connect through a web proxy. Usually clients connecting through a web proxy do not contact the DNS server to resolve names, because it is the web proxy that does it. When connecting through a web proxy, FortiGate can access FortiGuard without DNS resolution. The command diagnose test application DNS proxy 7 displays the FQDN and IP addresses of the FortiGuard servers available for antivirus and IPS updates. The command diagnose auto update status provides a summary of the FortiGuard configuration on FortiGate. The command diagnose auto update versions lists all the FortiGuard databases and engines installed. The information includes the version, contract expiration date, time it was updated, and what happened during the last update. If there are problems updating the antivirus or the IPS, or if there are problems validating the license, you can use the FortiGuard real-time debug. Diagnose debug application update -1. Diagnose, debug, enable. After enabling debug, you can force a manual update from the CLI using the command execute update now. Remember that FortiGuard traffic originates always from the management VDOM. So the management VDOM, which is root by default, must have internet access. Correct DNS access from the management VDOM is also important. FortiGate must be able to resolve the names update.fortiguard.net, service.fortiguard.net. Also, keep in mind that although it usually takes 1 or 2 hours to update a contract on all the servers, it could take up to 24 hours in some cases. So, if you have just changed or renewed your FortiGuard contract and you do not see the change on FortiGate, most likely you need to wait a bit longer to give FortiGuard time to synchronize the information on all the servers. In this section, you will learn about FortiManager acting as a local FortiGuard distribution server, FDS. FortiManager can function as a local FDS. It continuously connects to public FDS servers to obtain managed device license information and check for firmware availability updates. All FortiManager devices can provide antivirus, IPS, vulnerability scanning, and signature updates to supported devices. FortiManager devices can also provide web filtering and anti-spam rating services. You need to configure the service access settings for each interface under System Settings, Network on FortiManager. FortiManager supports requests from registered, managed devices and unregistered, unmanaged devices. After you enable the FortiManager's built-in FDS, you can configure FortiGate devices to use FortiManager FortiGuard services. Now you will take a look at what is required on FortiGate in order to use FortiManager for FortiGuard services. You need to configure the server list. This is where you define the server address, which is the IP of FortiManager, where FortiGate will query ratings and package updates. You can also define the following options in the server type setting: rating, web filtering, anti-spam, and so on; update, antivirus, IPS, and so on. By default, Include Default Servers is enabled. This allows FortiGate to communicate with the public FortiGuard servers if the FortiManager devices configured in server list are unavailable. If it is disabled, FortiGate devices will never go to the public FDSs even when the FortiManager devices are down. The GUI section shown on this slide and related CLI commands show the status of FortiGuard licenses for all FortiGate devices. The antivirus and IPS signature packages are managed in FortiGuard Package Management. Packages received from FortiGuard are listed under Receive Status. It displays the package received, version, size, version to be deployed, and update history for FortiGate, FortiMail, FortiAnalyzer, and FortiClient. Click Update History to open the Update History page for a package. It shows the update times, the events that occurred, the status of the updates, and the versions downloaded. You can change the version of the package that will be deployed by selecting Change in the To Be Deployed version column. Click Package Management Service Status to see a list of all the managed FortiGate devices, their last update time, and their status. There are 5 possible statuses. Up to date. The latest package has been received by the FortiGate device. Never updated. The device has never requested or received the package. Pending. The FortiGate device has an older version of the package for an acceptable reason, such as a pending scheduled update. Problem. The FortiGate device missed the scheduled query or did not correctly receive the latest package. Unknown. The FortiGate device's status is not currently known. The command shown on this slide contains details about which updates were installed or will be installed on devices managed by FortiManager, displayed by serial number. FortiManager can log update services events. They are useful for troubleshooting. Set the logging level to debug first. The next slide shows the command you must use to display the logs. Alternatively, you can export the logs to an SFTP or FTP server. The Update Services logs display the FortiGate requests made to FortiManager and the FortiManager requests made to the public FortiGuard servers. The web filtering and anti-spam databases are managed under FortiGuard Management, Query Server Management. The databases received from FortiGuard are listed under Receive Status. This page displays the date and time when updates were received from the server, the update version, the size of the update, and the update history. Select Update History to open the Update History page for a package. It shows the update times, the events that occurred, the status of the updates, the version number, and size of the download. You can view statistics about rating requests made by FortiGate to FortiManager using the command diagnose FM update FGD WFAS rate. By default, this command displays the request rates for the last 60 minutes. However, the time period can be changed using the command shown on this slide. This information is also periodically logged in the event log. FortiManager can log rating services events in the same way that it logs update services events. For troubleshooting, it is recommended that you enable the debug level first. You can use the steps shown on this slide to reinitialize the web filtering and anti-spam databases and services. These are other debug commands available on FortiManager to troubleshoot FortiGuard-related problems. Diagnose FM update VM license. Lists FortiGate VM license information. Diagnose FM update get device, FCT, FDS, FGD, FGC. Lists the latest package information downloaded by FortiGate, FortiClient through FortiManager. Diagnose FM update service restart, FCT, FDS, FGD, FGC. Restarts the link service for FCT, FDS, FGD, and FGC. Diagnose FM update, FDS, get downstream device, serial num. Gets information of all downstream FortiGate antivirus IPS devices. Optionally, enter the device serial number. Diagnose FM update, FDS, get object. Lists downloaded antivirus, IPS, and vulnerability scanner packages. Diagnose FM update, FDS update info. Displays the FDS update info. Diagnose FM update, FGD DBVER. Gets the version of the database. Diagnose FM update, FGD, get, downstream device. Gets information on all downstream FortiGate web filter and spam devices. Diagnose FM update, FGD, URL rating. Rates a URL. This slide shows the objectives that you cover.